Breaking news: Tottenham Hotspur have sacked manager Ange Postecoglou after 2 years in charge. And how is everyone feeling? This was a massive decision, one that I think that Spurs had to make sure they got right. And have they? We'll have to wait and see. But they sacked him after 2 years in charge. Obviously, in his first season, he got them fifth place and got them into Europa League football. Last season, obviously, the season just gone. We all know how that went. 17th in the Premier League, simply not good enough. 22 defeats, 38 points. However, he did get them the Europa League. And obviously, he said right at the beginning of the season that he always wins something. In this second season, it caused him a lot of hassle and pain and meet the media on him. But in the end, it came to fruition and he delivered. And it's a very difficult decision. And I think, have they got it right? I think first and foremost, I think I first want to give Ange credit because there have been a lot of other previous Tottenham managers who have come with a higher pedigree, who have come with a better reputation than he has, and they failed at Tottenham. If we're being honest, they have failed. They haven't crossed the line. They haven't got them silver. They haven't won trophies. But he was able to do it. The first time they won a trophy in 17 years. First time they won a European trophy for 41 years. And so I think if you're a Spurs fan, well, I'm not going to tell Spurs fans what to think, but if you are a Spurs fan, I think the majority of you are probably really thankful for Ange for what he's done and bringing you that success. I mean, a night I don't think any of you will ever forget, beating Manchester United in Bilbao, the Manchester United that could not be defeated in the European final, and he did it, and you thoroughly deserve to win it. And I think this decision is difficult because you have all those emotions, and then you think to yourself, well, actually, no, he said he was going to do it. He then backed up his word and actually delivered on the pitch. Maybe you do give him another season. He's come out during the trophy parade and said, third season was better than the second. He's doubling down on it. He seemed like he wanted to stay. And do you give him that third season? I don't think you can say that it's... I don't think you can say with 100% confidence that he should or he shouldn't be given a third season. I think that's fair. I think you can be really cold and calculated and say performances in the league were maybe not good enough. Or you could go with and let your heart rule a little bit more than your head and say, do you know, we want to keep him in charge. But either way, I don't think that it's 100%, oh, it's very easy, you do this or you do that. I think it is very, very mixed. And I am leaning one way more than the other. And I will tell you my thoughts. But when you consider the fact that Ange has, when he first signed a 4-year contract, so he's already done 2 years. And then he's got another 2 years. If we fast forward to, let's say if Ange stayed in the job, hypothetically, and then he got them to the end of next season, the upcoming 25-26 season. He had 1 year left on his contract. At that point, Spurs will have to either give him a new contract with only 1 year left, or they sack him then. If you were to give Ange a new contract at the end of next season, what would he have to do in the job to earn that new contract? And then you think of it, and you think to yourself, they cannot be that bad in the league again next season. They cannot be 17th in the league with that many defeats. But also, they don't have the get out of jail free card of the Europa League. They have Champions League football. So you can't really rest and rotate in the league to prioritize Champions League football because going into this season, Spurs were one of, if not the favourites for the Europa League, I think, alongside Manchester United. So, yes, they got to the final, but at the beginning of the competition, they were favourites for it. But going into the Champions League, Spurs aren't favourites for the Champions League. Spurs are not favourites to win the competition. How good could Spurs actually be in the Champions League next season? Say if they made a couple of additions to the squad. Who knows? What's the aim for the Champions League campaign next year? Is it finish in the top 24 and make it to the knockouts? Is it finish in the top 8? Is it get to the quarterfinals? I don't know what it is. And Spurs fans, you'll have to let me know what is the aim for the Champions League campaign next year. But it's not one where you can prioritise the Champions League or the Premier League. You have to go far in both. And I think this season, yes, Spurs, and a big contributing factor to them finishing 17 was the fact that they essentially, mentally and physically, just binned off the Premier League to focus on the Europa League because there's no chance they were going to get Champions League football through the league. And I think that's sensible. I don't think that's something that's we should be criticising a manager for doing. But I think it led to the 2 or 3% drop mentally, which meant that they lost so many games in the league. And that ended up building up to a situation where it put on so much pressure, which Daniel Levy and the higher up at Tottenham have decided that we've got to sack Ange Postecoglou because we don't think he can maybe prioritise in both. And also, a lot of people on social media have been calling it the Erik Ten Hag conundrum. If you give a manager you're unsure of going into a new season, you give him the full summer transfer budget, and then it doesn't work out at the beginning of the season, then you sack him. then where do leave yourselves then? You're even further behind after that. So I think there is a situation where, yes, you probably want a motion to rule overhead, but could I see it working out with Ange at Spurs next season? I'll be honest, and I don't think the answer is yes. I think you can maybe say, okay, we're not Manchester United, and if you win a trophy, then you should be given more time because Man United's ruthless. They have higher wages, they spend more money on transfers, they have different expectations to Spurs. But if you're Spurs and you win a trophy, you should be giving that manager a little bit more time. I can see it from both ways. I think it is the right decision. But I don't. I think only time will tell because it depends on who the Spurs go on and get as their next manager. And before I want to come on to that, I want to talk about Andrew. What does he do next? Because I actually think this turned out to be a situation where he comes off pretty well. He's won them a Europa League trophy, a major honour, and he can now leave with his head held high. And so I think his reputation, where he goes next, I'm not quite sure, but I think it stays intact for the large part, despite the fact that they have been appalling in the league. But there have been injuries and mental and physical fatigue, and they're taking the after ball. So I think you can understand that. But who do they bring in next? And obviously the names being linked to Thomas Frank, Marco Silva of Brentford and Fulham, respectively, managers. But I like them both, but they're not managers with any Champions League experience. And so I come to the question of, is the Champions League even a goal next season? I think they could both come into Tottenham, do really well in interviews, really bring the media on side, really bring the fans on side. I think over the summer Spurs can make some very smart acquisitions and really improve that squad and go further up at the league table. It's not like the sacking Ange for a world class manager is what I'm trying to get to, because I think Frank and Silva would do a great job if those were one of the two managers that ended up getting the Spurs job. But I just don't think that. I don't know. I'm just struggling because I don't know what the goal is for Spurs next season, and I maybe need to go talk to some Spurs fans about it because I just don't know what they're going to do. And I think really it was not going to work out. But you probably wanted it to work out, and was it worth giving him time and money? I think at the elite level, you have to be ruthless. And yeah, sure, I think Daniel Levy and Enid will probably get a bit of flack for this decision, and I think rightly so, because can you sack a manager if you're Spurs after just winning a trophy? I don't know. I think you can, and I think it was the right decision that Spurs have made, but I'm not 100% on it. I'm probably only 51-49 on it. I think it was the right decision that Spurs have made. However, I can imagine Spurs fans are very sad because he did bring you such a fantastic night, such fantastic memories that will live with you forever. And it is a difficult one, but I don't think football is black or white. I don't think it's easy to say he should have gone, he shouldn't have gone. But I just don't know what the goal is next season. And if it was Frank or Silva, I think both are good managers, both could do a good job. But with Champions League football, what's success in the league next season? I need to know that. Spurs fans, let me know in the comments below. What's success in the Champions League next season? Spurs fans, let me know in the comments below. And who should you go for, Thomas Frank or Marco Silva? I'll have to have a think. I'll be honest, I did think Spurs were not going to make this very difficult decision because Stanley Levy wanted to keep the fans on side, but he's made a difficult decision. He's now got to live by it, and we'll see how it goes. But I think Ange Postecoglou, 2 years, ups and downs, wonderful memories, I think, and it's been fun talking about football with Spurs and Ange Postecoglou at the helm, and he's always given you something entertaining to talk about, and the football itself has always been a talking point as well, both good and bad. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and who would you have as the next Spurs manager.